Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to go ahead and discuss how you can get started in investing in rental real estate, owning properties, leasing them out, having somebody else pay your mortgage. Basically is what we're looking for here. It's one of the best ways to build long-term, wealth in terms of, having that retirement account, supplement it, or just have all of your retirement in real estate. So many ways that real estate can help you long-term. In a few other videos that on the channel, you feel free to check them out. They'll talk about how you can get short-term income, like good amount of short-term income. Lots of basically flipping houses. That's where a lot of short-term lump of money comes from. But today we're going to go ahead and discuss how to build up a long-term real estate portfolio with lots of rentals and having all that income come in over a long period of time. And so basically, when you decide that you feel you want to go ahead and get into real estate by buying rental properties, obviously what you want to do start off with is figure out how much money you actually have available to put into real estate. So if you only have like $20,000-$30,000, obviously there's a different kind of house that you can buy if you have $100,000. So obviously that's where you want to start, is how much money do you have available. And you don't want to put all of your money into it. Like if you have $30,000 saved up, you don't want to put $30,000 into real estate, because it does take a while to get your money back from real estate. Like if for some reason you needed that $30,000 back, you can't just sell the house and the next day get money. It does take some time. So if you have $30,000 saved up, maybe you put about $20,000 into it. So you buy a house that you can put $20,000 down payment on, which typically for residential investment properties, you need about 20% down. You can find some mortgages that will require you can get away with 15% down, but most of them are going to go ahead and be 20%. So with that, your $20,000, that's going to be your down payment on a house. So you need to find a house that's about $100,000 or less to use this example. And so then obviously the next thing you want to do is find a house that's within that price range. So you have to search. And you don't want to just search anywhere for a $100,000 house. You obviously want to find somewhere that can give you a good rent for that house. Because for about a $100,000 house, your rent's probably going to be something close to maybe your mortgage is going to be probably close to about $500. So you want to find like a $100,000 house. This is how I always do it, at least. Is my mortgage payment's going to be about $500. I want to go ahead and find a house that's going to give me about $1,000 at least rental payment. Maybe like $900 to $950 will do, but I usually try to double my rent to the mortgage. You can't set your rent. You can't set your rent prices based off your mortgage. So you can, if you buy a house. This is why you want to do this stuff up front, because if you buy a house and you find out your mortgage is going to be $600 a month, and houses in that area only rent typically for $900. You're not gonna be like, oh well, my mortgage payment is $600, so I need to rent it for $1,200. I mean, it's just not gonna work. You're not gonna be able to set the price of the market. You have to set your house based on what the market is saying at that time. So, just because I base my my rent off the mortgage payment doesn't mean I buy the house that way. So that's the one of the things that I look into. And when I am buying a house, I currently, I've been looking for houses that are ready to go. I want to do like a couple days worth of work, and I want to have somebody in it. So I don't want to spend like a few months, redoing the kitchen, putting a new bathroom, fixing it all up. So I want to buy the house, and usually I have always, so far to this day, I've always had a renter before my first mortgage payment was due. So, I like to have my rent payment before my first mortgage payment is due. So that's just something I personally like to do. It works great for me. It could work great for you too. Then, so that's obviously what I look for. Down the road, I might go ahead and look for, ones I need to fix up. So spend like 4 or 5 months fixing them up and then renting them out. But the reason why I do it the way that I'm currently doing it is basically cash flow. I want to be able to not have to pay the mortgage on the property. I want to have somebody else pay it. So that's why I want to get somebody in as quickly as possible. So I find a good house that's ready to move somebody in, buy it, and get somebody in it. and just move on and start saving up for the next one. That's what I like to do right now because it works great, and I don't want to have to pay an additional mortgage for 4 months before I get a rent payment, because then it's going to take me a few months to make that back to start to break even on it. So I mean, down the line when I can afford to do something like that, that's obviously what I will probably do, because you can build some equity into your house pretty quickly by doing that. Because if you buy the house in a market, that the houses typically sell for 200, but you buy a fixer upper for 125, you put about 25 into it, and the house is now worth 200. It probably took you 4 months to do that, so you were paying the mortgage for 4 months and not making any money off the house. But you get that rent payment, and then you start making money, and then your house is now worth about $50,000 more based on what you put into it, so you have that money available. But at this time, it doesn't make business sense for myself to do that. So that's something you guys should consider when you're deciding on what kind of house is the house that you're going to buy. Is it going to be a move-in ready, or is it going to be one that needs to be fixed up? And then something else I also consider when I'm about to buy my next house is, how long will it take me to make my down payment back? So if I put $10,000 as a down payment on a house, how many months, about on average, will it take me to make money from that house to pay for that $10,000? So if I put $10,000 into the house, my mortgage is $400 a month, and I rent it for $1,000. That's going to take me probably, I'm just guessing off the top of my head here now, it's about 18 months or so, a little less, to make $10,000 of the rent minus the mortgage. So that'll take me about 18 months, which is good. I like to find stuff that will make my money back with under 2 years for my down payments. So, if that was a house that I found out there, that would be a house for me. And another thing you want to look for when you are looking for rentals is this house a good house to be rented? You don't want to buy the most expensive house, buy $1 million house and expect to quickly find somebody to rent it, because people do rent those houses, but they are few and far in between. So you might have to sit on the house for a year before somebody will actually come and rent it. So instead of buying $1 million house, it'd make more sense to buy $200,000 houses. You would find renters for them so much quicker. You would probably you will make more money on them. That's just how that will go. It's just the way the market is. So that's another key thing. It's great to have a really nice house, and but at the same time, you also don't want to go, in my opinion, I don't think you should go too far down. You don't want to buy the cheapest house possible, because then the area that's in, it's probably not going to give you the best tenants. So I like to find a good middle ground between renting the very expensive houses and renting the cheap houses, because you could buy tons of cheap houses and get tons of renters for them, but how many of them will pay the rent on time every month? And you just have to, I just feel that you have to deal with a whole bunch of extra stuff that I personally don't want to deal with. Some people do. Some people buy only those houses and they do well in that market, and good for them, because I can't do that and I don't want to do that. And that's another good thing about real estate. There's room for everyone. So, if you want to do a certain kind of real estate, like what I'm explaining here to you today is the kind of real estate that you like, then, everything I'm doing is working for me, so it might work for you. But, if you want to get into the market where you're buying $20,000 and $30,000 houses, then, maybe you should, then looking at how people do that, that's what you want to do, then this probably what I'm telling you here today is not going to work for you. So that's basically everything I take into consideration whether or not I'm going to buy a house for rental is, how much money do I have available right now? So with that, the money I have available to buy a house for, what price house can I afford with that? Is this house in an area that's going to give me about twice my mortgage payment for my rent? If it is, that passes that step. And the next step is, how quickly could I get a renter for this house? Are houses renting really quickly in this area, in this price range? If they are, then boom, that's my house. Then I buy it. And then, that's what I do, and move on to the next one and repeat the step. So I mean, these are pretty much the 4 little checklist steps I take a look at when I want to buy another rental. And if it works, we do it, and if not, we look for another one. So appreciate you guys listening to me today. Hopefully you found some information helpful for something that I use personally. So then if you do, feel free to go ahead and give it a like and subscribe. We got tons of real estate content coming out. That's what I do for full time, is real estate. So feel free to check it all out. If you have any questions, if you have a question about a specific topic in real estate, whatever, anything real estate related, feel free to ask it below, and we can go ahead and see what we can do to assist you with that. And then so until next time, guys, I'll see you.